welcome to today's show. What's up, Shane? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Trevor?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's almost the 4th of July, the time we're recording this, and it's always a fun time of year. Out here on the island, they do basically the entire island of Kauai shows up to the military base, and that's the one day a year they let everybody on the base. They have it's like a massive production. So we went to it our first time last year, and it was epic. So I'm looking
Really?
forward to that. That's gonna be
All right.
that's gonna be pretty cool. It's one of those unique island experiences. Last year they had the headliner, the artist who performed was the guy who won American Idol. Can't remember his name. He was the big Hawaiian guy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But
I was gonna say, is it usually
yeah.
a Hawaiian entertainer?
Yeah, it's usually some Hawaiian. So there's not a ton of famous Hawaiian singers. So sometimes I don't know who they are, right? Because the year
Okay.
before it was like I've never heard of that person before in my life. But this one, yeah, we know. So I don't know who's going to be playing tonight. So
right.
it'll be fun. But yeah,
All right.
it's
Well,
good.
Fourth of
It's good.
July.
You got any cool plans?
It's my wife's birthday on the 4th of July, so she always co-ops the 4th of July, and we do her birthday then. So we don't always go to fireworks. Sometimes we do. The town we live in does a pretty good fireworks display, so we'll go there some. Other times we just hang out. We've always got some friends that come over. I think this year is her 50th birthday, so we're having and also Hello Kitty, if you know who that is. That's that little cartoon cat
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
deal. Yeah, it's also
Uh-huh.
Hello Kitty's 50th birthday this year. So
Okay.
so she's having a themed Hello Kitty birthday party, whatever that means. So
I love it.
that, and she's hoping to get a Labubu, which
What
is this
what the
little
heck's a
fuzzy
Labubu?
little monster kind of thing. I'm actually going to be posting a video with one earlier. How old is your daughter?
She's 14.
Ask her what a Labubu is and see if she knows. It
Okay,
may be a little
I'm
too
sure she
Asian
knows.
for her. She may not. It was big in Japan. Some K-pop
Right.
in Korea. Some K-pop singers like it too. And my wife's into K-pop. So, but it's this fuzzy little monster kind of thing. It's kind of they're
All
based
right.
off of the animals and where the wild things are from years ago. That
Uh-huh.
story,
Oh yeah,
yeah. They're
great book.
based on those kind of monsters. And there's they do the limited runs and all that kind of stuff. So.
Right.
And now scalpers are buying them and selling them for like 2 or 3 times markup. So,
Of course, of course.
yeah,
Did you find one for her birthday?
yeah, of
Were you
courd I
able to track
found one.
down?
We
Yeah,
found
there we
so she
go.
has a knockoff. So the first one I bought her was actually a knockoff. It's a Lafufu, not a Labubu. And Lafufu is there are varying qualities of Lafufus out there. I actually got her a pretty good for a knockoff. It's pretty good, but I didn't know it was a knockoff when I
Right.
bought it. I was like, maybe not. Just ordered it. But
Right.
now we found a guy who sells them legitimate, on the north side of town. And for her birthday, I bought a box, and there's a company that verifies the authenticity of stuff. They do shoes and they do collectibles and things
Right.
like that. So you buy from them, you pay them, they pay a handling fee to verify it, but you're getting real stuff. So she'll get
Yeah.
some of
That's
that for Christmas or for her birthday.
for her birthday. Well, that's fun. Well, dude, and that's exciting that the world, not the world, I guess the United States of America celebrates fireworks on your wife's birthday.
It is. For years, that was the story. She thought, her parents told her, no, everybody just does this just for you, honey. And, I don't
I
know
would
how
take
long.
advantage if that were my
Yeah.
kid.
I don't know how long that actually worked, but for a while, she believed. I think her
Yeah.
grandfather used to
Oh,
tell her.
probably for 10 years. I bet it worked.
Yeah,
I bet it worked that long because I mean that's that. I mean you roll with it and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. Like, everyone is celebrating my birthday. You're walking around waving at people like you're like, hello, it's me.
all the soldiers come out for my birthday. All kind of stuff. So
Exactly. Well, today on today's show, we have a specific thing we want to talk about because it's upcoming, and it's something we do about every quarter. But it's called the Legal Edge Summit, and what it is, we'll kind of tell you what it is, and then tell you why it matters because this is pretty critical, and it was one of the pivoting moments for me in my entire life, being able to figure out that there was like a map and a plan that you could build. Because we talk a lot about you got to have the map, and this event is the map, right? It's
right.
literally the map we're talking about. It's at least the framework. We'll kind of get into that today, but But the Legal Edge Summit is a summit of attorneys that are coming together and being able to, several things happen, right? Number one, we have to establish basis of where you're at. And then more importantly, it's being able to dissect where you want to go. And this sounds like an easy thing to say. It's like, oh, this is what I want to do. But if it were as easy as that, then everybody's New Year's resolutions would be successful, right?
Yeah.
Everyone would accomplish the goals and the targets they set for themselves. And here's an easy self-assessment. Look at your day today. Like, as you're listening to this, look at your day today. What kind of a plan did you have in place? How many of you guys literally just woke up and you handled what was in front of you? You got an email, you got clients that are needing this, that, and the other, and the only plan was get through the day and work really hard, right? The adage we all know that we're sold. So it was this idea that, is there a way, and this is really where we created the summit and why we do it, because we were like, is there possibly a way to take the things that I do on the daily basis and make sure that they're actually working towards building the life that I actually want, right? Because a lot of times, and this is the game, right? The attorneys that get stuck in this loop, they get stuck, they don't know how to. I mean, Shane, you went through the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've been through it, and you get stuck in this loop, and you don't. It's like you've created, and it's weird because you created the loop. But then it's like, well, how do I go forward? And unfortunately, just to say, well, go set some goals and then go work for them. It doesn't work. So,
well, and especially, I was going to say, especially if there's no breakdown as other real goals or reasonable goals or big goal. If you just set a goal, I mean, you got to get more granular in that, and you got to know, like you say, the plan is the key, I think, right? And breaking down your big goals are, because it's easy to say my goal is to grow, but I mean, talk a little bit about how we want those targets and goals phrased, because we always want them phrased a certain way, right? And that's so you can prove you achieved or not, kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because, like, I remember when I would start setting targets in business, and it was literally as simple as that. I'm going to grow. I'm going to do this. And the problem is, most of the targets I set for myself, they weren't actual goals. I didn't have a map. I wasn't following anything, and I had no one else helping me get back to reality. And I would set what I call fantasy goals.
Yeah.
Right. It would be like, I'm going to make $1 bajillion, and I hadn't even made $1 yet with the company or whatever. And so it was like, I'm going to go do this thing, and it was fake. There was such a disconnection from what I said I was going to go do. Right. It'd be like if I were 100 pounds overweight and I needed to lose weight and I wanted to get fit, and I'm like, you know what? In 4 weeks I'm going to be shredded with a six pack and. And if you don't have anyone around you that's telling you, hey, it's not going to work, you're going to think that that's a good target. The problem is it's so far beyond what's real and what could even happen that you won't even do anything. I've watched this happen in every domain of life, and where the target is so ridiculous, it's so outside of any real actionable items that there's no action taken.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of New Year's resolutions fail.
Well, I was going to say,
in this place where they just don't work.
One of our competitors actually runs an ad like grow your firm 350% in 1 year, 12 months. And I'm like, I do personal injury work, right? And I know a lot of guys that do. And if you try to capitalize and just fund that growth, that's a way to I'm all for big growth, right? I'm all for making your firm bigger and doing all that. But if I were to take my firm and try to grow it 3x in 1 year, I'd have a heart attack, and I wouldn't have any money because I would have funneled it all in. I mean, that's an unreasonable goal, at least when you're my size, right? Now, maybe if you're much, much smaller and you're a one-man shop, and you made $150,000 last year, maybe 3x is a good plan to 500,000. I'm not going to say it can't happen. You can have some huge growth, but just to advertise and fill everybody with dreams without any kind of reality check is a little crazy. I mean, even just hiring 3 times as many people is a way to have a lot of stress, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at, and I've looked at this, I've been in the coaching space for 15 years, And there's one key element that exists inside of anyone who's actually been able to scale their life, not just their business, but also be able to scale their marriage, to scale their body, to basically build the life they want, like grow. And there's several things that I think are common, but one that really stands out, and it's the ability to peel back every layer you possibly can to be totally brutally honest, and then have a clear action plan from a 12-month window to a monthly, a quarterly window, down to a monthly, and down to a weekly, and then down to even the daily, right? It's being able to have this system. And this is something we refer to as the game here, because it's like playing a game, right? And we have to be able to know that we're making progress and working forward. And anyone, I don't care who it is, the success level, they all have this. They've got the ability to dissect this and look at it from a standpoint of, what am I doing today? And is it getting me closer to the targets, right? We have something we call weekly wars, right? It's the war. It's the thing that you're going to go after every single week. And these are the things that if you can establish a system and a process that works, right, that actually will get you where you want to go, you really can accomplish something. We love the term impossible game.
Yeah.
Right? Because they say it's a game, but it's called the impossible game. And it's not a fantasy game, but it's an impossible game, because we're saying, hey, guess what? You can have it all. You can grow your firm. You can grow your marriage. You can get a body that's ripped and rare, and you can also be connected to God and have spiritual connection and inspiration to move forward. But you can do it in a actual tactical, like you can look at it. It's visceral. It's like, hey, what do I need to do on this day, Thursday the 3rd, Thursday the 4th? I'm going to do this. Okay, here's the things. And it moves you forward. And the problem is, a lot of us, we just get so excited with doing the work that we just go do the work.
And
right?
you quit moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just doing the daily work. And next thing you know, you've lost 2 weeks, you've lost a month, you've done no work on your business. Everything's just doing the work in your business, as a lot of people say, right? You're not able to grow without a game plan, without a target, even if sometimes, and I've argued with people before, and I know you have, Trevor, where we're looking at weekly wars and they've got something and you look at it like, dude, that's like 16 hours worth of work right there, or 20 hours worth of work. I mean, I've done it myself too, where I've targeted something and said, I'm going to do this week. And then I peel back those layers and dig in it. And I'm like, oh, I misunderstood how much work this was going to be, and I know you talk to people about it, but as long as you're making some steady forward progress through your weekly wars, it's going to work.
Yeah, but it has to be specific progress towards the target. See, and this really helps clarify the difference between being busy and actually being focused, right? People wear busy like a badge of honor. Oh, I work so hard, I do this, I do that. And all that really is a representation that you're shitty at running your company. If you're so busy that you have to put in all this energy and effort, right? And I think we talked about it either last week or the week before, somewhat a little bit. But this is what starts to take it away, because we think in our minds, we're like, okay, I have this target I want to go after. Well, I got to do it all now.
Yep.
Right? I see the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, here I go. I got to do all of it. And that's the problem. And this is really what the summit does, and it's what we've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people through this process, probably thousands actually, in being able to take the big thing, the big vision, the big impossible target we want to do, and then break it down into these bite-sized chunks that allows you to go out and do the simple thing today. If you can do the simple thing today, you didn't, right? Even if it's 3x revenue, right? And we're gonna have this huge increase. Even if that's the case, it doesn't mean that I need to do that today. It just means I need to take action and steps and move towards that thing today. And without that, this is where people get really overwhelmed. People get to where they're like, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm going to be stuck in this loophole. And then they are constantly reacting because they have no system and process in place to put the thing in front of them that will actually build them out. And if you can't build out of the problem that you're in, then you get in that cycle. And this is where a lot of people come into the legal edge, is they're kind of in that place, and that may be you as you're listening to today's show. And you're like, man, what do I do? Because I can't work more. I can't work harder. And we're on a reframe on that, because you're right. You can't, and you shouldn't. What we have to do is we have to take you're already a hard worker. We know that. So there's no badge of honor for saying you work hard. We know you work hard. It's now a case of, can we take that and channel it to the right focus, right? The efficiency in what it is that you do, right? I can show up with a big old floodlight into a dark room, and I turn this floodlight on. It's like, burp. Then I can show up, and it's going to have an effect, right? But I'm sure not going to be burning any walls. But I could then show up with a laser beam, same amount of light, but condensed down to a focus level. And now all of a sudden I can cut through metal, right? It's an energy in focus. The effort and what's exerted is actually not anymore. But it does require you in your mind to let go of the fact that you need to be working 60, 70, 80 hours a week in order to feel like you're busy and productive. And it's the craziest thing, because I did it to myself. I hated working that much, and I would still do it because I felt like that's the only way I validated who I was.
Well, and I mean, not to take a tangent over into mindset, but sometimes, especially when you become profitable, when you start making money, and real money for whatever your life is, right, compared to what you used to make, then you get into this, I have to work so much to justify me having this much money. And if I'm not working 60 hours a week, I don't deserve to have X amount of dollars. I need to shrink down. This becomes a huge issue when you start making more money than anybody in your family or any of your friends. And you start making maybe twice as much as your highest, your best paid friend. And they're working 40 hours a week. You get in your mind, you got to work 60 because you're making twice as much money. Or you're telling your family, it's the whole scarcity value thing that goes in. What I wanted to talk about, though, is what was cool to me when I first started doing this is there is a ton of business, right? And we all focus on business goals, but there's also all these other goals, body being balanced. And the fact that we spend time on those as well, developing those, having targets of what we want to accomplish in the next year, how we want to increase our relationship with our spouse or maybe our kids or your physical fitness, right? I mean, if you're on high blood pressure medicine, maybe a great goal is to get off high blood pressure medicine by the end of the year. And that becomes a real goal you spend time on every week and quarter to achieve that, so you live longer and can have a better life with your family.
Yeah.
And you said,
well, and even more than even that, and what's crazy, you want to make more money, then get your other domains in alignment, right? So it's like I've had plenty of the situations in my past where my wife and I are not on point, we're not in a good place, and then I go into a business meeting or I go into a meeting with a client, and I'm half of who I normally would be. My energy's all distraught and all this, and I've been through, I've talked a little bit about my story, but I've been through divorce, and I've been through the gamut of what that was like. And in that window of me going through that part of my life, I was so ineffective, right? I was working, I was putting in the time and hours, but when your home life is a wreck, like, it affects everything you do in business. So it would make sense to say, well, if I want to make more money, well, I actually can't have a home life that's a wreck. I also can't have a body that's a wreck, right? Because when I was 40 years old, I had a heart attack, right? And you look at me and you're like, dude, you look healthy. How'd that happen? And I'm like, well, I don't know, because the doctors didn't even know what happened. But I have this heart attack at 40, and here's what I'll tell you: everything else doesn't really matter. If my body doesn't work and I'm disease ridden, if I'm diabetic or I'm overweight or I'm sluggish or I lose energy because I just don't take care of my body, I promise you that's affecting every other part of your life, right?
Well, yeah.
We're interconnected across the board, and I think the point you're making, which I love, is you have to focus on all of them. And that's one of the things we do that really separates the summit from any other mastermind or event that you would attend, is the time and energy that is focused in on creating the whole map. Yep. We're not just saying, hey, let's build a marketing strategy, and then here you go, and everybody go out and do the marketing tactics.
Yeah, well, and I think they did a study of millionaires, and most millionaires, like the vast majority, had a great relationship with their spouse, right? And they said that was a huge component of them being able to know home life was okay, let me go work and hunt and kill and do what I need to do, was that aspect. So if you don't spend any time working on it, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, but you said in the very beginning, part of the time we're going to spend on is getting brutally honest and clear about the facts and where you're at today and going into that. Because my experience has been a lot of people aren't really clear with the facts. I mean, like, I even ask a team member, how many calls do we close on call number 1? It's like, I think we call most. Well, most is a terrible term, right? Because usually it's wrong. And I know that from lawyers. I'll talk to them, and they'll tell me, well,
Well, it's like,
when I'm
well, dude, it's like you and me. Yeah, it's like you and me today. We're talking about we're talking about an email campaign that we currently have running, and our person who normally gives us the data wasn't there, so we're sitting there and we're like, well, we can't really make any decisions because we don't have the actual facts. We
right.
have what we feel about it, but we don't have the actual, what is the open rate, what is the click through, where they click. We don't have that, and so without the facts, but that's the problem. People that don't have the facts, they'll still make decisions as though they had the facts or as
Yeah.
though
Oh,
what they
yeah.
know, and then that is one of the biggest ways to kill yourself in anything you're doing.
Well, I talked to a guy not even too long ago, and he's complaining about one of his ad campaigns, right? And like you say, he's telling me how much he spent and how many leads he got coming in, and he goes, I'm going to change the whole campaign. And then I asked him a couple of questions because he didn't know his facts, right? He knew none of the facts in the middle. And when I ask him even a couple questions in a 5-minute conversation, he goes, oh, shoot, I was going to change the whole front end of this, and the front end's not where the problem is. I'm like, no, the problem's on the back end. You don't have anything. Because he didn't know his facts, right? And just through somebody asking and talking to him, suddenly he establishes those facts and puts them in a format, and he sees the problem. But I remember the first time somebody walked me through this, I'm like, shoot, I can't even establish these facts. I got to take my list and go back to the office on some of this stuff and plug my facts in so I know where I'm at.
Oh yeah. Well, it probably actually wouldn't be surprising because I bet if all of you guys ask yourself this question right now, but it's the first question. It's really the first few series of questions we dive into inside of the summit, or anytime I'm in a coaching environment with you, and I start asking you numbers and questions about the business. It's usually like deer in the headlights look. Because I just ask simple numbers and metrics so that I can get a basis of where your company's actually at, where your firm's at, and I promise you, 9 out of 10 do not have the answers because we are not trained to look at the facts because usually the facts are not usually. Sometimes the facts are not what we want to see because they're reality and they're not where we want to be. So we want to avoid looking at the facts, right? If I have a something that's not working in the firm, I don't actually want to look at it. I'll avoid it. You might have the wrong person on your team, and you might have that wrong person on your team, and they just keep being on the team, and you just avoid it, hoping that the problem will somehow fix itself. And then every single week it doesn't fix itself, and you're getting more and more frustrated that it's not fixing itself, when the reality is it only keeps perpetuating because you won't address it. You won't look at it. And you want to actually handle it and deal with it because that would force you to get in reality and not be able to live in fantasy la la land and talk about these big targets, but you got some burning part of your business is burning to the ground, and it's really hard. It's not and this is a skill set that has to be learned. We're not naturally good at this, which is where the summit becomes that environment where when you're in a group of other people with the same like-minded aspirations of scaling and growing their life, not just their firm, but their life, in that environment, it makes it easier, right? Shane, if I am honest and I declare my truth, it makes it way easier for you to do it. We kind of get into this place.
I mean, I remember a guy was telling me he was trying to connect with his son, right? Because I'm big into having somehow to connect with each of your children, right? And he was complaining. He said his son was big into Minecraft. And I don't remember how old, was 6, 8, something like that. And he said his son is just a beast on Minecraft doing all this stuff. And he said he tried to play it, but he just couldn't figure anything out. And I'm looking at this guy, and he runs a $5 million company.
Right.
Right? Makes, I don't know, at least $500,000 a year, if not more. And he's like, I can't figure out the game my 6-year-old or 7-year-old plays. And I'm like, that's a stupid answer. You know what I mean? You're going to let this opportunity go. I said, why don't you hire a coach? And he goes, why would I hire a coach to play Minecraft? Well, you just said you can't figure it out. You would hire a coach for anything else. In your business, you would do it in the drop of a hat over something like this, especially a coach that costs $10 an hour or less. I mean, I'm like, why would you not spend $200 to figure out how to play a stupid game with your kid that your kid wants to play and enjoy it and would look forward to playing with his dad every day? And he goes, I guess you're going to call me out like that. Yeah, because everybody's, hammering down and working at leveling up their life. And honestly, when you say it out loud around people, sometimes you realize how stupid that position is,
Yeah. Well, we all live in an echo chamber, right? And this is it's a dangerous place. Your own thoughts, because a lot of times what you say could be total bullshit, but because it's you bouncing off the wall coming back to you, you
Yeah.
think it's not bullshit. You're like, this is great. Yeah, that makes sense. That's logical. That it's like that along the same vein you were just talking about. And I remember sitting there in a mastermind, and this guy is complaining about his relationship, and the question was posed like, well, when's the last time you went on a date? And he says, well, I've got kids at home and we just can't find a sitter and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And it was like, and it was the same scenario. Runs a multi-million-dollar company. And it was like, and then it's like, so you're trying to tell me you run hundreds of employees, you run this big ass company, but you can't figure out the logistics to watch your 5-year-old?
Yeah.
Really? That's it, right? And when it was posed and framed that way, it was like, oh. And he'd been avoiding date nights and avoiding these things because it was just it was just too hard. The story he was believing, the facts that he thought were, and his facts were, it's too hard to find someone that I trust with my child.
Well,
Right?
and that's one of the reasons why we pull out into breakout rooms and talk amongst our peers, right? Over
Yeah.
your facts and stuff like that, is because we want to make sure it's in reality and make sure your facts sound at least where they could be true. And then some of the stories we have behind this stuff, so your buddies are like, that's a stupid, you know what I mean? That's ridiculous.
Yep.
I mean, like either one of these two guys, I mean, totally ridiculous positions that you break in what, just a matter of a couple questions, and then they can fix a huge issue, right? Because this
Yep.
guy not connecting with his son, huge issue.
Yeah.
I mean, this is prime time. 6, 7, and 8 is great time to be a parent. I mean, that's when the kids are the most fun. You know what I mean? Dad and mom
yeah.
are their superheroes.
Yeah. Well, and you still have a lot of impact on guiding the way they turn out and, the further as an adult, right? And so it is critical, and we will, yeah, it's wild. It's not that it's just not a hard thing. It's not like there's this magical sauce. The magical sauce is in the fact that you can get exposed, that you're
Right.
open and vulnerable and be exposed, because we have to be able to admit that, hey, we don't have it all figured out, and I don't, different than you and I. There's shit that we're working on all the time that we don't have it figured out. We'll try different things, but each level you go, it's like a level of a video game. You kind of master that level, and then you move to the next level. But every new level you go into, there's new challenges, new experiences, new things that exist. But one thing that remains constant is your ability to follow this simple process. Because really the frame, if we're to break it all down, it's literally be honest, tell the truth, and what are the facts? What are the facts? Not your feelings. What are the facts about the scenario? And then what's the gap between that and where do you want to go? And when you spend enough time there and you get very, very clear, and this is why it takes 2 days to go through this, because this is not as simple as, hey, we're just going to, there's evolutions, because we have to break down the layers of your facts, because your surface level facts are not real facts. They're what you think are the facts, and then you have to dive deeper into it and start to realize the thought process and the mentality that goes into it. But once you've established this, like this is what I've always said, the summit is the most critical 2 days you could spend for your entire year, period, because it's what creates the map for the rest of the year. It's literally the guideline. It's the North Star compass, and you do that in groups. This is why we break out. There's evolutions. This is not the Legal Edge Summit is not an event where you sit and Shane and I just sit and talk at you, right? Or another attorney just talks at you and teaches you some magical wisdom and waxes profound. It's not that at all, because the value is in when, Shane, you would share your truth and I listen to you and I'm like, that's bullshit. That doesn't sound right. Are you sure that's the way it should be? Right? And giving these different perspective from people that are coming in, all being well guided down the framework of establishing the process. And then life becomes awesome, because every day you wake up and you're like, I'm not confused. I'm not overwhelmed, because I have an action. Even if you still are in the pocket and you're still working tons of time and you still, it's stressful. I get it. Like, stress doesn't go away. But what happens is, you're building towards the new future. And every day you do that, it's just different. It changes everything. Plus, you actually can grow.
Well, and when you break it down into quarters, you've got a 90-day sprint almost towards one target. You got your yearly target. You got your quarterly target. You're going to break that down on monthly and weekly. And if you have a week where stuff goes sideways, which happens, right? And you don't do it, then you can just carry it over and keep working on it. But you're still headed towards that goal. It's still in your face, telling you you need to get here. and you keep at it. Versus if you're all by yourself, you don't have it broken down into bite-sized chunks. Basically, it's too easy to get overwhelmed. I mean,
Yeah.
And honestly, one or two bad days, then you're like, screw it. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. If you don't have it broken down in an easy plan and support and people around you.
Yep. Yep. And it's the game changer. So we would love to give you more information about the Legal Edge Summit that's coming up, plus all the other things that we have going on. In order to find out more about that, just head over to legaledgecoaching.com. And you can get access to there. There's also a link here, depending on where it is, whether you're on Spotify or iTunes or here on YouTube. You can click on that link. It'll take you directly there, where it'll give you all the information on what this event is, what you can expect from it, and really what the critical pivot this will make for you in your entire life, right? The firm growth and everything that is that you have going on, everything that you want, all your ambitions, that like it literally sits there. We've done this hundreds and hundreds of times, like I said, with upwards of thousands of people have run through this process. And once you learn the process, it becomes a rinse and repeat, and life literally just starts to take off for you. So, like I said, this is the most critical part of my personal life every year, like this, doing this process and going through these 2 days and being able to get yourself clear and focused. So we'd love to get you in the game so that you can get unstuck and start to build the life that you actually want. But you don't have to settle for where you're at and what you've got. And this is that next level. This is the next step for you to be able to do that. So head over there. Any final thoughts you got, Shane, as we wrap up?
The only thing I can say is, too, one of the reasons why you got to establish your own facts and your own targets is because it's all personalized, right? It's all for you.
Yeah.
It's all built around what you want and your goals, where you're at today, where you want to go. So it's not cookie cutter, right? I'm not going to give you something and say, hey, here you go. This is going to make you shave 10 pounds off. You may not need to lose 10 pounds. Maybe you need to gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe, so it's by spending time on your own individual facts and your own targets, we can help you map out your own personal goals and targets and journey for the next year.
Yeah. And the beautiful part is, Shane, you've been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
As an attorney that grew the firm. So all of the things that everybody's stuck on, like you've been down that road. So there's perspective that comes from an attorney who's actually done what you're trying to do and has built a large firm. And so this is the game. It's like, this is not coming from just, philosophy or theory. We're going to show you the map that works, the framework of the map. And then, like you said, Shane, we got to dissect each one individually. And it's coming from us who have been there. We know exactly what it's like to do and to build it. So it'll be the most effective way it can possibly be for you. So appreciate you guys listening to today's show. Join it. If you find somebody else or somebody else who would get value from not just today's show, but also being a part of the Legal Edge Summit and transforming and truly shifting their life, please share the show up with them so that they can also get value from it. And then, like I said, head over to legaledgecoaching.com to get more information on the upcoming Legal Edge Summit. Other than that, I appreciate you guys being on here. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
We'll talk to you next week.